Hey guys, hope you're doing well today. Hope you've had a great week as we come to the end of July. Can you believe that the year is going by so fast? It seemed like it just started, to be honest with you. So this is the end of July, the last day. The theme for this month has been establishing boundaries and assertiveness. We've done a lot of work reflecting on our current status or our current evolution in our boundary setting, our ability to enforce and defend our boundaries, right? And we've had a lot of progress so far since beginning this reparenting project. And now that we've advanced to a more, now that we've progressed to a more advanced stage, tongue twister a bit, is it good to take a look back even at the basics, just to check to make sure that we're still on track, right? I don't know if you guys have accountability partners or if you have scorecards or what your process is for keeping yourself on track. But I'd like to remind you that, because in the process of reparenting, we're implementing a lot of change and that requires a lot of effort. And normally it's best to approach changes one by one. And with so many changes required, or not necessarily changes in terms of viewing yourself as bad or less than, but changes in terms of opportunities to grow and expand your skill set. Sometimes it's good to reflect to make sure that we haven't fallen back into those old patterns, right? And so that's why I shared the short yesterday or last week from Tracy Marks, a refresher about what boundaries are. And today we're going back again to Jefferson Fisher, and he's reminding us today about the the way that you're setting boundaries, and in particular, in this episode, he's talking about defending your boundaries. So standing firm in them and not falling back or questioning them or taking in too much emotional charge from someone else because you feel doubtful or concerned about hurting their feelings or being an inconvenience or so forth. He's really reminding us of the power of standing firm in our boundaries. This is a bit more of a refathering perspective, right? The firmness of your boundaries. He talks about ending over explanation so that your boundaries come across more firm. He talks about reducing the emotional impact of someone else's emotional response, removing your responsibility to manage other emotions, to manage others' emotions, so that you're able to remain more grounded and firm in place and to step away from people pleasing confidently. So without further ado, let's go ahead and listen to Jefferson Fisher.
More than you could ever know. Over-explaining is weakening the very platform that you're wanting to walk on. It is turning the ground before you into sinking sand because you don't know how to set it into concrete. You're walking in it before it sets. How does that cause problems for boundaries? Here is the simple breakdown that I see every single time when I'm talking to people that I meet who are asking me information, or I'm doing some kind of live Q&A or a message or something in my inbox. This is what I see most of the time. They say, hey, look, I set this boundary and all of a sudden I feel like they're pushing on me and I give in every single time. And what I ask is, well, how many words do you use to set your boundary? They say, what? I said, how many words did you use? How many sentences did you use to set your boundary? And right then and there, they kind of go back and start thinking. And it's like, that's it. If you have to go back and wonder, okay, how long did I talk? How long did I set that? There's your sign right there, is that it took too many words. Here is the classic example. Somebody asked you to do something. And by the way, here on this episode, the boundary we're going to really be talking on is when you need to say no to things. You're needing to decline things, not just invitations, but just somebody's asking something from you and you need to say no. So classic example here is somebody asks you, hey, can you help on this project, right? And you start to say, no, I really can't. I'm just so, because I'm so, and you start to give justification, maybe context for, no, because I'm just so busy, and here's where it breaks down. What the other person hears is not no. They hear, I would say yes, but because of all these obstacles, I can't do it. And they think, oh, okay, then if I just remove these obstacles, they'll say yes. So they start thinking of ways to get to a yes. Over-explaining your boundaries turns what is a statement, a boundary, into a negotiation. And all of a sudden, they start seeing it as problem solving. Over-explaining turns boundaries into a problem solving mission for the other person. Now they're thinking, okay, what can I do? So if you say, no, I really can't, I can't do that. I'm just so busy. They go, oh, it's okay. It's only going to take 5 minutes. They go, okay, how can I get to a yes. I'm sorry. I'm really overwhelmed at the moment. Oh, that's okay. I'll do this for you. That's okay. Okay, you want to move this to a different day? You want to push the deadline? To get to a yes, they see it as a problem-solving mission. They see it as a problem to solve, and that's not what you want. Boundaries are not negotiations. And the more words you add after no, the more it looks like it's soft ground, that it's up for negotiation, it's up for debate. Here's some ways that this causes problems in your life. Number one, when you over explain, you create the illusion that not only is it a problem you're asking them to solve, it's ground that they think they can barter in negotiation all of a sudden. Because it's not a strong no, they feel like it's a soft yes. And they will start to try and wiggle around it. Here's an example. I had a lady once who said, look, Jefferson, every year, I host Thanksgiving at my house. And I don't want to do it this year. I'm retired. The kids are grown. They have kids of their own. A lot of times we stay here because they really don't want to pay for a hotel, but they could. And I have to clean and fix everything. And I have to make every breakfast and cater around it. She said, I just really don't want to do it. I said, all right. Have you communicated to them already? She said, yeah. Yes, I have. I said, okay. How did you communicate that to them? She said, in a text. I said, okay, well, read the text to me. And you know what the text said? The text was, I would really love to, but I just feel like I am a little tired right now, and I feel like it's going to be a little too hectic. And wouldn't y'all rather probably stay somewhere else because I don't feel like the house is as clean as it could be? That was what she thought the boundary was. And you know what the text back from her adult children were? That's okay. It doesn't have to be fancy. That's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect and picked up. That's okay. We just really want to be able to relax and be casual. And good and well that sounds great, but when they're in the house and it's hectic and kids are running everywhere and you don't feel like this is a good place for you in your life anymore, you're at a different stage where you go, oh, I'm tired. This is not, y'all invite me to something. Don't make me host everything. I said, how does that how does that cement? You're giving them sand. They're giving them things to play with in the conversation. She said, well, yeah, I guess you're right. So we broke it down into ways that I'm going to explain at the end of this episode. But this is how it happens, where you think you said no, but really what you did was just open it for negotiation. And what her two adult kids were now trying to problem solve. And that's okay. We'll take care of breakfast, or we'll buy the groceries, meaning you'll take care of us. You hear what I mean? So whenever you feel like you are asserting a boundary, I want you to look at how much am I over explaining.
Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you've enjoyed this video from Jefferson Fisher. We've only listened to a portion of it. He has many other tips. If you just click on the link in the video in the show notes, you can check out the rest of it. I highly recommend it. He has lots of good insight. This is about a 30-minute video, so we really only did listen to a portion of it. So, today, as we reflect on this specific issue of holding firm in our boundaries, so we've learned what are boundaries, we've learned why they're important, we've learned how to set them, and we've also examined from many different angles why they're important, what they represent, what our enforcement and, well, for setting and enforcement of our boundaries, what that communicates to ourselves as well as to others, right? This might be a level or perspective that we didn't have before starting a reparenting journey because of lack of parenting, sufficient parenting anyway. But now we have the chance to learn, to raise our awareness, to expand our consciousness, and to get our needs met, to learn the skills to get our needs met even more efficiently. And one of the most important things was, for me anyway, in this specific lecture, is not over-explaining your boundaries. Putting a firm no and not budging. So setting your boundaries in concrete as opposed to sand where they can be moved. I also really appreciated the perspective that he gave on why over-explaining or giving too much background information comes across as not just a softening of your boundary, which you might perceive as in an effort to try to not hurt someone's feelings. For example, if you have to do something or want to do something that they don't want you to do, you might feel responsible for softening the emotional blow. But I didn't realize, for example, that most people don't perceive it that way. They perceive it as an opportunity for them to negotiate. And, so it's quite funny that in many ways you'll end up communicating things that you don't really intend to, because of the lack of parenting, social skills and support and communication skill and so forth, right? So you can have one intention to really say, oh, I don't want to hurt their feelings, so I will try to soften it and, add some explanation so that they're understanding. But the other person is not even seeing that. They're not even really concerned. They're concerned with achieving their goal, which is having you to do or not do, or give or whatever, a certain action that they're asking you to do, for which you require the boundary because you don't want to do it. And so it really reminds me to work on the theory of mind to be sure that I'm accurately perceiving other people, that I'm accurately understanding how people are perceiving me, so then I can take more effective actions in the real world. So I hope you guys enjoyed this quick reminder on boundaries, the importance of them, how to stand firm in your boundaries without wavering, and the importance of reducing over explanation, in case you didn't already know. So we're coming to an end today, guys. This is the last day of July, as we mentioned earlier. So thanks for being here for a month of working on your boundaries and assertiveness. We're moving now into August. The theme for this month of August is healing the inner child. So I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Don't forget, we have a new fairy tale coming out this week on the YouTube channel. As always, you can check out the YouTube channel for those weekly fairy tale videos. This week, I believe, is a Mexican one. Every week, there's a fairy tale from around the world, a different story, different lesson, so we can connect with our inner child, which is the theme of this month, August, and also just have a lighthearted time to learn some lessons, appreciate different cultures around the world, and really settle in the fact and realization that we have so much more in common than we realize, even amidst this time of conflict and challenge and strife. So hope you guys have a great weekend. Don't forget to check out the cartoon to give your inner child some fun, or the fairy tale rather. And do whatever you can to feel as much joy as possible. That is the most important thing that you can do on your reparenting journey for right now. We spend a lot of time learning, and it's time to start living. So go have a great time, guys, and have a great weekend. I'll see you soon.